Good evening, this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Ashma Oba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. The National Assembly Standing Committee has summoned the Foreign Affairs Minister for an oversight engagement on the Gambia's foreign policy. Amnesty International's Canifing Municipal Group organized a stakeholders forum over the weekend on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia. Reliance Financial Services Limited commemorated International Day of Rural Women on Saturday in the Central River region, where the company also inaugurated its newest rural branch as part of its ongoing expansion program. In international news, today the 17th of October is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, set aside to reflect on ways to end poverty. In sports news, Gambia's international Musa Barrow returned from injury to score the Bologna in their defeat to Italian league leaders Napoli on Sunday. Those were main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, from independence to date, the Gambia has established and maintained diplomatic relations with many countries around the world to pursue its strategic development goals and aspirations. However, most recently, the question of whether the Gambia has a vibrant foreign policy has emerged. This has led the Assembly Standing Committee to summon the Foreign Affairs Minister for an oversight engagement. Mudalamincho reports.
The Gambia's relations with countries around the world are strategic goals that are pursued through foreign policy. Foreign policy guides the Gambia's activities, relationships, and interactions with countries and international organizations. In this regard, diplomatic missions are established abroad to represent the image and interests of the Gambia and her people. 4 months ago, at a cabinet retreat, our foreign policy was among the topical issues considered for the Gambia's proposed new national development plan. At the retreat, advancing critical point of view, the Vice President, Dr. Badra Ali Juf, cast doubt on whether the country has a vibrant foreign policy.
I'm not sure we have a foreign policy. If we do, it's dormant. So we need to make sure that we have an effective, well-signposted foreign policy. A foreign policy that has differential targets. A foreign policy that has differential strategic partnership. A foreign policy that goes for a positive sum game, a win-win situation.
4 months after those critical remarks by the Vice President, the Assembly Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs summoned the Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, for a briefing on the Gambia's foreign policy. From the First Republic to date, the Gambia has practiced a customary foreign policy which is not in a codified document with a given framework spelled out by the Foreign Affairs Ministry.
The Gambia's foreign policy is carved within the framework of the purposes and principles of the charters of both the United Nations and the African Union, on the basis of mutual respect for the sovereign, equality, independence, and territorial integrity of states, the maintenance of international peace and security, and the promotion of friendly relations among states. The Gambia's foreign policy is also conditioned by the country's commitment to the doctrine of non-alignment.
We spoke to Dr. Mamadou Sidar Diop, a seasoned diplomat and the ex-Foreign Affairs Minister of the Gambia, for his views on the framework upon which the foreign policy of the Gambia is pursued.
In fact, if it is correctly executed, it's enough. It's enough. It's enough in that it covers really all the regions of our relationship. We shouldn't try to have a very complicated foreign policy because we've written all the lines. But the framework that he's given are the general framework of all what happens within. So there is in the application. You see, all this is theory.
The foreign policy of the Gambia, among several objectives, targets minimizing harm to the national interest, boosting national security, supporting economic growth, tourism, and foreign direct investment through bilateral and multilateral engagements among countries and international organizations like the United Nations and the African Union. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is in the process of mainstreaming the Gambia's foreign policy objectives to implement the proposed green-focused National Development Plan. The minister also informed the National Assembly Standing Committee that a committee has been set up to develop an all-inclusive foreign policy. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
We apologize for that technical error. Now, Amnesty International's Kanifing Municipal Group organized a stakeholders forum over the weekend on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia. Usman Jidabo attended the event and filed this report.
The forum seeks to remind the state of its commitment to abolish the death penalty in the Gambia, while protecting and valuing lives of every individual who reside in the country. This comes as a moratorium was signed by President Barrow in September 2017. He formally announced the moratorium on Independence Day 2018. Ami Jede, the coordinator of Amnesty International KM Group, disapproved of the death penalty and perceives its application as tit for tat, an equivalent given in return.
The death penalty is still in our constitution, and we want to completely abolish it because we believe that we cannot pay debt for debt. People are killed for so many reasons. People killed accidentally, but then we cannot use that to correct issues in the society.
Amijede hopes that their effort to abolish the death penalty will be achieved.
The road to abolishing the death penalty is not going to be an easy road. It is going to be a difficult road that is going to be full of bombs, but then we are going to get there. We can do it.
The National Assembly of the Gambia is the body responsible for making, enacting or passing laws. It was through this body that the death penalty was reintroduced in the Gambia. In recent years, the African Charter for Human and People's Rights has issued a recommendation for its members who have the death penalty in their laws to put a moratorium. Mohamed Kante, National Assembly member for Busumbala constituency, who doubles as a member of the Committee on Human and Constitutional Rights Matters, underscores the importance of the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia.
It is very, very important, to have those laws out of our law books, because we have witnessed instances where people have been executed based on death penalty imposed on them. The recent ones when 9 inmates were summarily executed by the government of the Gambia during Jammeh's regime. It's one thing to say people are not enforcing this law, and another thing to say this law is not in existence. So if the law is in existence, the law is bound to be enforced.
The Gambia abolished the death penalty in 1993. 2 years later, it was reinstated by the Jammeh regime. This led to the execution of the 9 prison inmates by the state in 2012, which attracted global condemnation. Raki Dwanda is a state counsel from the Ministry of Justice. She gives an assurance of her ministry's willingness to abolish the death penalty.
The TRRC has made recommendations for the abolition of the death penalty, and the government, through the Ministry of Justice, would ensure that the recommendations of the TRRC are carried out, as the government has already accepted 90% of the recommendations made by the TRRC. So indeed the ministry has been making fruitful efforts in ensuring that the death penalty is abolished.
In May 2019, Amnesty International stated that President Barrow's commutation of the death penalty to life imprisonment is an important step for the Gambia, which is slowly and steadily moving away from death penalty. For QTV News, Usman G. Dabo.
Reliance Financial Services Limited, a Gambian-owned non-bank financial institution, on Saturday commemorated International Day of Rural Women in Brikama Bar Central River region, where it also inaugurated its newest rural branch as part of its ongoing expansion program. As Alucise reports, the event was attended by customers of Reliance Financial Services.
International Day of Rural Women, observed annually on the 15th October, was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007 to celebrate the achievements of rural women and to reflect on the challenges they faced. The theme for this year is Rural Women Cultivating Good Food for All, which highlights the essential role rural women play in the food systems of the world. In addition to this, the inauguration of the new Reliance Financial Services branch will ease the struggle rural women have been experiencing in their financial dealings. Reliance Financial Service Limited provides financial services and products through loans to those at the bottom of the economy, including women. Babukar Khan, Managing Director of Reliance Financial Services Limited, said despite the rough but worthy journey, his institution remains true to its microfinance ideals. Hence the reason for winning the trust of its customers, many of whom are women who continue to receive small loans and other financial services to low-income groups.
Reliance is a company founded by Gambians. It is owned by Gambians. It is managed by Gambians. Because of that, we pride ourselves as being the financial institution that is closest to the average Gambian people, because we understand what they are going through.
Usman Ba, Governor of Central River Region, recognized women and girls, many of whom live in rural Gambia, as key contributors to ensuring sustainable socio-economic development of the country. He applauded them for working towards realizing agricultural development and food security despite the lack of many amenities.
Achieving gender equality and empowering women is not only the right thing to do, but it's a critical ingredient in the fight against extreme poverty, hunger, and malnutrition.
Sarata Konate, the first female CEO of GCCI, spoke on the immense contribution of rural women to the economy, and Bai Senghor, a senior advisor to the governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, applauded Reliance Financial Services for its continued impact on rural women.
According to the MSME mapping study in 2018 by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, 34% of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, in the Gambia are already owned by women.
It is my hope that the opening of this ultra-modern edifice will provide a much-needed facelift to the financial landscape of the Gambia and shall boost the morale of staff to devise appropriate strategies for effective financial inclusion with the resultant outcome of poverty reduction, job and wealth creation, as well as overall growth and development of our national economy.
Fatou Kinte, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, said there is a need to foster an environment of equality where women are given equal access to farmlands and finance.
Opening formal bank accounts and offering financial services products to women, especially those at the bottom of the economic pyramid, is partly in line with my minister's vision and mission, given that women are disproportionately affected by poverty and injustice globally and nationally. Giving access to credit for rural women can ensure that those of economic opportunities are open to them.
Ami N. Bensouda, board chair of Reliance Financial Services, encourages women to make the best use of the loans Reliance provides to impact their livelihoods. Certificates of recognition were presented to leading rural women entrepreneurs and some of the invited guests. Reliance Financial Services women's regional chapters were also launched to ease the network among their customers. Bara in the North Bank region was chosen as the host for next year's commemoration. Joanna Jaju, branch manager, delivered the vote of thanks. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
That story by Aliou Cisse will lead us to a commercial break, but when we return, we have more local, international, as well as sports news. Don't go away.
Wait, LG, thank you. Yup. Thanks to LG ThinQ, I can operate and get cycle updates from my AIDD front-load washing machine without even stepping foot in the laundry room. I can be busy with rehearsals on a conference call and still do my laundry, or watching series glued to my couch and too lazy to get up. My life made easy with LG ThinQ.
Have you heard about Platinum Properties?
No. What's that?
Well, Platinum Properties is a real estate agency located at Sukuta traffic lights on the Turntable Highway, selling the best located lands with amazing deals. From our Sifo Gunjur housing to Sanyang housing to Tujarang Faces and many other perfect locations, as well as individual plots suitable for you. Get away from the noisy and crowded streets and buy your dream home with us in these beautiful and peaceful locations. We have many dimensions available for you, from 21 by 25 to 21 by 20, 19 by 19 to 25 by 25, and many other different dimensions to suit your needs. With flexible payment plans, whether it is a mortgage payment or not, we've got you covered.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'll visit them.
Reach now to Platinum Properties to get the best deal. For more information, call us on 397-1669 or 760-5414. Platinum Properties, your best choice for your dream home.
Thank you. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching QTV News with me, Ashma Oba. Now, 22-year-old Khadija Tujalo, a native of Buyam in the West Coast region, is seeking support for overseas treatment after she was diagnosed with a heart condition. And Sumane Sonyasi reports.
Her predicament began when she developed complications after giving birth 4 years ago. And according to her medical report signed by Dr. Alarico Romero of Buyam General Hospital, what started as normal chest pains quickly developed into postpartum dilated cardiomyopathy, an uncommon form of heart failure that happens during the last month of pregnancy or up to 5 months after giving birth. After diagnosis and 4 years of unsuccessful treatment, Khadijatu has been advised by her doctor to seek treatment overseas, as the facilities for her treatment are unavailable in this country.
I have been to several hospitals, especially in Buyam and Banjo. I was told I cannot be treated in the Gambia. I keep having severe chest pains, heartburn, and even to swallow food is sometimes a problem. This has been my life for the past 4 years, and I'm really going through a lot.
Khadijatu also experiences breathing difficulties sometimes, and with her health deteriorating, her family's financial situation leaves her worried and helpless.
When I have an attack, I feel like dying sometimes. The doctors at Buyam did all they could to save my life, and I am forever grateful to them. However, my chances of getting treatment are getting slimmer by the day. I really need help, and I ask for help from everyone.
Khadijatu's medical report indicates that her condition has not improved despite undergoing treatment at Buyam and the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. This leaves young Khadijatu and her family with no other option but to seek medical assistance to go abroad. Her elder sister, Aissatou Jallow, says Khadijatu's condition has left the family devastated as they continue to seek for help.
Hadn't been it is in the country here, maybe it could have been better, but outside, because what I had, it is very expensive, so we cannot afford it. So that's why we need help. And also, she's dropped out because when she was conceived, then when she gave birth, that was the time we noticed this sickness. Then after it, she wanted to go to school, honestly, at Mayuk Senior, but she could not cope because of her condition. Because
Khadijatu, who has a strong passion for learning and cooking, has in the past 4 years been struggling with an ailment that is already taking a heavy toll on her. She is not able to cook anymore nor return to school or do any household chores. And as her health deteriorates, she continues to ask for help from members of the public to undergo treatment overseas. Anyone willing to help can contact QTV on 333-3245 or email news@qtv.gm. Answane Nyase for KTV News.
We pray that she gets all the support she needs to be treated. That story will lead us to international news. Now today, the 17th of October, is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, set aside to reflect on ways to end poverty. Jennifer Sonko has more.
International Day for the Eradication of Poverty is celebrated across the globe every year on 17th October to raise awareness about the people struggling with and living in poverty. With the commitment to end poverty, protect the planet and ensure people everywhere enjoy peace and prosperity, the 2030 Agenda gestured towards the same promise established under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yet the current reality shows that 1.3 billion people still live in multi-dimensional poverty, with almost half of them children and youth. The COVID-19 pandemic is likely to have pushed between 143 and 163 million people into poverty in 2021. The Russia-Ukraine war is threatening our world with a global food crisis, and we are now facing the most severe food shortage we have seen since World War II. The theme for this year's commemoration is Dignity for All in Practice. The dignity of the human being is not only a fundamental right, but constitutes the basis of all other fundamental rights. Therefore, dignity is not an abstract concept. It belongs to everyone. Today, many people living in persistent poverty experience their dignity being denied and disrespected. In 2015, 1.3% of the population in the Gambia lived below the international extreme poverty line, on less than $1.9 a day in 2011. By 2019, extreme poverty incidence is estimated to have declined to 8.4%. The Gambia's poverty rate remains at 48%, while food insecurity has risen from 5 to 8% over the past 5 years as a result of weak production systems and the effects of successive shocks such as drought and floods. In 2018, the Gambia suffered another drought, leading to a food security emergency. In a time of unprecedented economic development, technological means and financial resources, that millions are living in extreme poverty is a moral outrage. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
From international, let's take a look at sports news. Gambia international Musa Barrow returned from injury to score for Bologna in their defeat to Italian league leaders Napoli on Sunday. Our sports reporter Mamadou Gajaga watched, and he now reports.
Having been out injured, Musa Barrow recovered in time to play and score a 40-yard shot to make it 2-2 against league leaders Napoli, who eventually won 3-2. In what looks to be a good game for the visitors, Bologna took the lead in the 41st minute and against the run of play through Joshua Zarkis, before Napoli leveled just before the break. Barrow also contributed to Bologna's first goal with a beautiful control near the box before playing a square pass. Earlier on, Musa Barrow blazed his free kick over the bar. He also had a long-range shot which went inches wide. Napoli forward and Nigeria international Victor Osimhen came in the second half to score what turned out to be the winner in the 69th minute when he lobbed past Bologna keeper Lukas Skorupski. It was yet another defeat for Musa Barrow and his Bologna side, putting them in further trouble in the league standings. They are fourth from bottom, while Napoli are top, having won their last 8 league games. The Bologna attacker Musa Barrow had taken part in many of the side's Serie A matches in the 2022-2023 season, making 6 appearances overall and accumulating 410 minutes of playing time. He has started in 5 of these appearances across their 10 fixtures and been used as a substitute on 1 occasion. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
That's it for the news, but before we go, a recap of our main news headlines. The National Assembly's Standing Committee has summoned the Foreign Affairs Minister for an oversight engagement on the Gambia's foreign policy. Amnesty International's Kanifing Municipal Group organized a stakeholders forum over the weekend on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia. Reliance Financial Services Limited on Saturday commemorated International Day of Rural Women in Central River Region, where it's also inaugurated its newest rural branch as part of its ongoing expansion program. In international news, today the 17th of October is the International Day of the Eradication of Poverty, set aside to reflect on ways to end poverty. In sports news, Gambia international Musa Barrow returned from injury to score for Bologna in their defeat to Italian league leaders Napoli on Sunday. That's all for this edition of the news. Join us at 10 p.m. for more news. Thanks for watching.